In the main hall of Umbrella's executive training facility is a large set of scales, set over a painting of the man who once ran the place, James Marcus. It is the focal point of the room, and the center of a puzzle the player must solve to move forward in the game. A puzzle that represents one of the main themes of Resident Evil 0. The lady's appearance clearly resembles the embodiment of justice, the Greek goddess Themis, a woman holding a set of scales, often blindfolded, with a sword in hand. When examined, the statue is said to have no trace of kindness. She is judgment personified, and there is no room for kindness in her heart. To pass her judgment, the player must locate two statues and place them upon the scales. The statues themselves are broken into pieces and hidden throughout the facility. One is a statue of a woman's torso, armless and headless. The second piece is a set of wings, called white wings in Japan, and angel wings in the West, associating them with symbols of divine love and purity. The wings are found inside an object called the Book of Good, which looks like an old research tome hidden in the archive. The second statue is a black statue of a masculine figure, also lacking head and arms, with one wing. The missing wing is found inside the Book of Evil, which is itself hidden behind a puzzle. Said puzzle is a chessboard in the director's room. Once the missing wing is returned to the statue, it takes on the appearance of a demon. Together, the two figures balance the scales and open the door. They have no heads, no selves, not even limbs. They are not people. They are concepts, representations of ideas, rather than representing a person or a god. The Book of Evil and Book of Good reinforce this idea, as each statue is associated with a concept of good or evil. Good is feminine, white, angelic. Evil is black, demonic, and male. Both are necessary to balance the scales and move forward. The idea of a balance between good and evil is an ancient concept, and it has long been visually represented as a balance between black and white. Each side is typically associated with various symbols, peoples, and gods, and represents the duality of the universe. The most famous example of this idea is likely the yin-yang symbol of Taoist tradition, a Chinese symbol with two pieces, black and white, circling into one another, with a dot, called a bindu, in the center of the opposite color. The symbol represents the balance of opposing forces, and the existence of the opposing forces within one another, their dependence on each other. Yin was darkness and feminine, yang, lightness and male. Both need one another to survive. A similar concept exists in Boaz and Yakin, the twin pillars of the Temple of Solomon, which have become symbols in many traditions, including tarot and Freemasonry. Their meaning is argued among scholars, but in many occult traditions they are symbols of the balance of universal forces. They are the columns of the Kabbalistic tree of life, representations of the duality of the universe and the balance between concepts, light and dark, male and female. They appear on the High Priestess Tarot card, marked B and J, and in artwork drawn by alchemists and occultists throughout history. Ultimately, all these examples are versions of dualistic cosmology, the idea that there are two fundamental concepts which both oppose and balance one another. It doesn't mean these are the only two concepts. Obviously, there are many. But it implies a relationship between two specific concepts that balance each other out. Many polytheistic faiths use this concept, despite having many gods. In Hinduism, for example, Shiva is seen as a balance to Kali, goddess of darkness and destruction. Yet you can also see a duality between Shiva and other gods, in which Shiva is the dark one. Ultimately, the heart of the concept is the idea that opposing forces complement and fulfill one another, that good and evil are meant to exist together, not destroy one another. It's interesting that most examples of these concepts associate the feminine with darkness, It's true of most pagan traditions, where the moon deity was a woman and the sun a man. And it's true of the yin and yang. Yet Resident Evil 0 presents us with the opposite idea of good and evil. We have an angel representing good who is feminine, and a demon who is masculine. Of course, there are precedents in Japanese culture. Shinto tradition imagines the sun as a woman and the moon as a man. Japan is a rare exception among world cultures. However, the real answer as to why the feminine is good in Resident Evil 0 likely has to do with our main protagonist, Rebecca Chambers. Resident Evil 0 is a game about balance. We have two opposing concepts, the female cop, the male convict, forced to work together to survive. From the beginning, Billy is an unknown, a possible danger, who Rebecca has no choice but to trust. In the original concept for RE0, Billy was in fact a far darker character, a true danger, even the real enemy by the end of the game, betraying our heroine. The Billy we see in the final version of RE0 is far less dark, but still presented as dangerous and dark-aligned. It is quite a while before the player is convinced he is on Rebecca's side. He's a lawbreaker and a criminal, but not evil. This best represents the concept at the core of Resident Evil 0, the balance between dark and light, how opposing forces need one another to survive. The angel and demon of Resident Evil 0 is truly Rebecca and Billy, and like the statues, you need both to make it through the game. There's a delicious irony that the evil book, needed to solve this puzzle, is found in the director's office, the source of the evil in this game, the reason for the events and the outbreak that is currently occurring. But it's obvious James Marcus placed the book there, and created the puzzle to begin with. Solving the puzzle leads into the basement, where he committed terrible atrocities for his research. Balancing the scales leads into a world of horrible things. But it is a place that Marcus apparently sees as balanced. The puzzle comes across as something of an attempt to defend himself, to show that the path forward requires a balance of good and evil things. The good is the results of his research. The bad are the sacrifices made to get there. But in the end, they balance out. In his mind, the results are worth the sacrifice. Somehow, I don't think his victims would agree. And it's clear the game disagrees as well. To obtain the Book of Evil in his office, the player must solve a puzzle involving giant chess pieces. There's a chessboard on the director's desk. Making the large board match it solves the puzzle. Like the angel and demon statues, the chessboard is black and white, and solving the puzzle involves moving the most important white piece, the king. It is certainly not a legal chess move, but it positions the king in such a way that white is certain to lose on the next turn. The position of the black pieces leaves the king in check. Essentially, this is a way of defeating good with evil in order to obtain the Book of Evil. The puzzle presents evil as the victor, putting the idea of balance into question. As this is the director's office, the puzzle is associated both with Umbrella as a corporation and its employees like Marcus. To them, at least, evil is the far more valuable side of the balance of good and evil. Which is why it takes characters like Rebecca and Billy to stop them. Umbrella is clearly unbalanced, full of far too much darkness and evil. It takes a truly balanced team, like Rebecca and Billy, finally put an end to them for good.